All right, so today's question of the day comes from Future Airman Ashley. Now, Future Airman Ashley asks, being in the Navy, have I noticed maturing? Have I personally noticed myself growing as a person? So to answer that question, very early on, when I was about 11th grade, I got to chance to meet with a local millionaire. His name is Dave McGrogan. He gave me this book, and he said, he one of his quotes that he lives by and that he said to me, and now I live by, is from a book called Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And the quote is, life is 10% what happens and 90% how you react to it. So I talk to a lot of people in the military, and one of the questions that I ask is, why did you join? And a lot of people give the common response of education, money, finances, or career path. But one of the answers that I get a good amount is maturing. I wanted to mature. Being in the military is going to help me mature. And in my opinion, being in the military, whether you're in the Army, Marines, Air Force, Coast Guard, the Navy, it's not the silver bullet. It's not the tool that's going to magically make you more mature. It's not. Just because you're in a uniform, just because you're in a disciplined environment, doesn't mean you're going to magically mature much faster, right? If you've ever went to Catholic school, or if you've ever went to maybe a big college or school where it requires you to be more disciplined, or requires you to wear a uniform every day. If you are immature and you wear a uniform and you're maybe disciplined, doesn't mean you're going to magically be more mature, right? Likewise, when you're in the military, there are a lot of people who are immature that are in the military. And so, as Napoleon Hill said, life is 10% what happens and 90% how you react to it. And I believe, in my best opinion, in my personal opinion, that is the true process of maturing. That is the true process of growth. Because when you're in the military, being in the military, you get to experience different unique experiences that gives you unique maturing opportunities. And one of it is, for example, being away from your family for a long time, right? When you're in the Navy, you get to call your family when you have the time, when you have the opportunity every single day. But when you're on deployment, where you go on sea for 9 months, now maybe you get to call your family every once in a while, but the best form of communication is snail mail, by written mail, right? And you don't get to see your family a lot. You don't get to Skype with your family, right? You don't get to send pictures to your family, right? So now, how you react to that, of what happens, being away from your family, that's what happens. That's 10% of the thing. It's just the nature of what happens. Now, the 90% how you react to it, some people could react to it negatively by being upset, by being depressed, or maybe get counseling, maybe get help of how do I deal with being away from my family for a long time, or how do I deal with being away from my newborn for a long time, how do I deal with being away from my wife, newlywed, for a long time, right? Or maybe some people get to easily accept the fact, hey, this is the nature of the military, it's how it is. Some people can accept it like that, right? Or some people like me, when I was a civilian, I didn't really appreciate my family too much. I didn't really get along with my family. And being out of that environment and being in the military, I learned to appreciate my family much more. And through this experience, I have a great communication with my family now. I call my mother and my grandmother every single day at 6 o'clock. And so that process of decision making, the 90% of how you react to something, is what I believe the process of maturing, the 90%, right? And that's just one example. Like, some examples could be, you're working in the ship for 12 hours, or you deal with negative people that you have to work with for 5 years. If you're in a ship like me and you work with someone you don't really get along with, and they still have the same contract as you, well, you better learn how to get along with them, because you're stuck with them for the next 5 years, right? or living with roommates. When I'm in the ship, I'm going to be living in a very, very compact environment, right? That's unique to the military life. Being in a ship where it's like they call it a coffin rack, because it's like the size of a coffin. It's like stacked 3 each, and you see each other. It's very close and compact. So, you don't have to be in the military environment to make those kind of decisions, right? You don't have to be in the military. You can make those same type of what happens, life, and you can still have that same 90%, how you react to it, the decision-making process, outside in the civilian world, right? And you can mature just as much as you would be in the military world. Now, some people don't ever make a correct decision, and they stay immature, and that's just one of the things, right? So to answer the question of have I personally noticed myself maturing, it's hard to tell, right? It's hard to tell about myself in my life. I try my best to take a step back and analyze my life, but sometimes you need someone else's opinion. But when you don't have someone close, someone that you can communicate well, that you can trust to analyze your life, it's hard to tell. But one of the things that I do notice about myself is, like I said, I did build a great communication and I appreciate my family much, much more compared to my civilian life. My civilian life, I didn't get along with my family all too well. I didn't really communicate with my parents all too well. I wasn't very open in my feelings and my emotions as I am now. I can talk whatever I want with my parents and my family. So that's one of the things that I noticed. And so, like I said, life, as Napoleon Hill said, life is 10% what happens, 90% how you react to it. Military life isn't the magic pill, isn't the silver bullet, isn't the the magical tool that makes you suddenly more mature. It's not. It's the process of making the decision of what happens, in my opinion, is the way you mature. So the better decisions that you make, the more mature you will become. So I believe that is the process, and that is my answer to you. So thank you for watching. I hope this video helped, and I hope you have a great Navy day.